They tell us every country is sovereign. They lie. The modern world isn't ruled by laws, it's ruled by power. While we sleep, borders are being redrawn, not with ink, but with debt, drones, and silent deals. From Venezuela's oil to Greenland's melting ice, from island paradises erased from maps to nations crushed under loans they can never repay. This is not war as we imagine it, no declarations, no sirens. It's a global chessboard where superpowers play and smaller nations are sacrificed. Today, it's Sri Lanka. Yesterday, it was Syria. Tomorrow, it could be anyone. And now the eyes of the world are turning toward the Bay of Bengal, because history has a brutal rule. Resources invite predators. Weakness invites control. This is not paranoia. This is modern colonization. And the question is no longer who is sovereign, but who is prepared to defend it. The dark reality of global power games. Is sovereignty a myth? We live in a world that prides itself on democracy, human rights, and international law. We are told that every country, big or small, is sovereign, that our borders are sacred. But if you pull back the curtain, you will see a terrifying reality. The world is not run by laws, it is run by power. It is a giant chessboard where superpowers are the players and smaller nations are merely pawns to be sacrificed. While we sleep comfortably, believing our borders are safe, a silent war is being fought. It is a war for resources, for strategic locations, and for global dominance. From the oil fields of South America to the icy peaks of the Arctic, and now to the warm waters of the Bay of Bengal, no one is safe. The curse of black gold, Venezuela. Just days ago, the United States seized the private presidential plane of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. To the common eye, this looks like a punishment for a dictator. But is it really that simple? Venezuela sits on the largest proven oil reserves in the world, even more than Saudi Arabia. By all logic, its people should be the richest in Latin America. Instead, they are starving. Why? Because for decades, a tug-of-war has been played over who gets to control that oil. This is the resource curse. When a leader refuses to align with Western interests, sanctions follow. The economy is strangled, the currency collapses, and then, conveniently, global corporations step in. Just days after diplomatic tensions rise, we often see millions of dollars of oil being sold or seized. The oil belongs to the people of Venezuela, but the profits end up in foreign banks. This teaches us a brutal lesson. If you possess resources but lack the military strength to protect them, you do not truly own them. The ice-cold grab. Beautiful drone shots of Greenland's ice. Now look north. In 2019, then U.S. President Donald Trump shocked the world by proposing to buy Greenland. The media laughed, they made memes, but geopolitical experts weren't laughing. They knew exactly why he said it. Greenland is an autonomous territory of Denmark. It is not for sale, but underneath its melting ice lies the future of technology. Rare earth minerals. Greenland holds massive deposits of rare earth metals, essential for making iPhones, electric car batteries, and advanced missiles. Currently, China controls this market, and the West is desperate to break that monopoly. The Arctic route. As the ice melts due to climate change, new shipping routes are opening up. Whoever controls Greenland controls the future of global trade in the Arctic. This wasn't a joke, it was a signal. It showed that even a peaceful territory of a European ally is just a piece of real estate in the eyes of a superpower. The Stolen Paradise, Diego Garcia. You might think, but surely they can't just take a populated island. Let me tell you the tragic story of Diego Garcia.
In the Indian Ocean, there was an island paradise inhabited by the Chagosian people. In the 1960s, the USA needed a strategic military base there to monitor the Cold War. They asked the UK, who owned the colony, for the island. What happened next is a crime against humanity. To satisfy the US demand, the UK government forced the entire population to leave their homes. They didn't just ask them to move. They killed the islanders' pets to scare them and shipped the people off to slums in Mauritius. Today, Diego Garcia is one of America's most critical military bases. There are no locals there, only bombers and soldiers. This proves a terrifying fact. When a superpower needs your land for strategic necessity, your human rights, your history, and your home do not matter. The Pacific Tug of War, Solomon Islands. This game isn't just played by the West. Look at the Pacific Ocean. The Solomon Islands, a tiny nation, recently signed a security pact with China. Overnight, panic erupted in Australia and the USA. Why? Because the Solomon Islands are located on a critical supply line. If China builds a military base there, they can cut off the connection between the US and Australia during a war. The reaction was swift. High-level diplomats rushed to the island to warn them. A sovereign nation was effectively told who they could be friends with and who they couldn't. Small island nations are being bullied by both Beijing and Washington, forced to pick a side in a fight that isn't theirs. The silent weapon, the debt trap, Sri Lanka. We have talked about military invasions and island grabbing, but there is a weapon far more silent and effective: debt. Look at our neighbor, Sri Lanka. The massive Hambantota port was built with billions of dollars in loans from China. It was promised to bring prosperity, but when the port failed to make money and Sri Lanka couldn't repay the debt, they lost the port. China took control of the port on a 99-year lease. This is happening across Africa and Asia. Superpowers offer shiny infrastructure projects, bridges, airports, highways. Poor nations sign the papers thinking it's development, but when the bill comes due, sovereignty is auctioned off. This is economic colonialism. You don't need soldiers to occupy a country anymore. You just need a bank check. The Silicon Shield, Taiwan. If Greenland is about minerals and Venezuela is about oil, then Taiwan is about the brain of the modern world, microchips. Taiwan produces over 60% of the world's semiconductors and 90% of the most advanced chips. These tiny chips run everything from your smartphone to the most advanced American fighter jets. Both the USA and China know that whoever controls Taiwan controls the future. China claims the island as their own. The US has vowed to defend it. This tiny island sits on a powder keg. If a war breaks out here, the global economy will collapse overnight. It proves a terrifying fact. When a superpower needs your land for strategic necessity, your human rights, your history, and your home do not matter. The proxy graveyards, Syria and Yemen. And what happens when these superpowers finally decide to fight? They rarely fight each other directly. That would mean nuclear war. Instead, they choose a playground, a smaller, weaker nation, and turn it into a graveyard. Look at Syria or Yemen. The people there didn't ask for a world war, but Russia backed one side and the US backed the other. Iran backed one group, Saudi Arabia backed another. The result? Ancient cities turned to dust, millions of refugees, a generation wiped out. These are proxy wars. The superpowers test their new weapons and flex their muscles, while the locals pay the price with their blood. These nations are not players in the game. They are merely the chessboard on which the game is played.
The warning for Bangladesh. So, where does this leave nations like Bangladesh? We stand at a critical crossroads. The Bay of Bengal is becoming the next center of global attention. We are surrounded by the debt trap on one side and military pressure on the other. Rumors of superpowers seeking a base on St. Martin's Island or control over the bay are not just idle gossip. They reflect our immense strategic value to counter China or dominate the Indian Ocean. But the question is, are we ready? While the world races 50 years ahead in artificial intelligence and defense technology, what are we doing? Israel protects its skies with the Iron Dome. Iran builds its own drones under sanctions. Even North Korea has nuclear deterrence. Meanwhile, our internal discourse is flooded with political rhetoric. From university teachers to school students, everyone is obsessed with politics, often ignoring the blatant lack of technological advancement and defense capabilities. We discuss the missiles of Iran and the jets of America, forgetting that we lack adequate air defense systems ourselves. If we do not wake up from this political obsession and focus on building national strength economically, technologically, and militarily, we might realize our mistake only when it's too late. When sovereignty is threatened, political speeches won't save us. Only strength will.